What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Injection of Inspiration, where every single Saturday I, Graham G.S. Matthews, inject you with a daily dose of motivational advice, helpful tips, and all that other great positive shit. I came across this quote the other day. I don't know where it came from. There was no source line on the picture that I found on Google when I saw the quote tweeted out on Twitter not too long ago. So you can try to find it if you would like. But anyway, the quote is the following, as you can read on the thumbnail for this video. Nonetheless, one day, you'll be just a memory for some people. Do your best to be a good one. Once again, one day, you'll be just a memory for some people. Do your best to be a good one. Now, I feel like I have talked about this before here on the show, and I've done so many episodes, I feel like I'm absolutely repeating myself by this point, but nevertheless, this is one of those things where, I'll share a quick story, but before that, this is one of those things where you absolutely, it's one of those things that's just, it's not always constantly on your mind, like, oh, I have to leave a legacy for when I'm gone. It's like, that's not really something you think about, but when you really sit down and ponder it, good word, think about it, think it over. If you were to die tomorrow, die right now, what sort of memory would you be leaving behind? Maybe not legacy, I feel like that's a bit of a broader word for people that are, much more in the public eye, but I guess you could be leaving behind a legacy as well. It brings me back to that episode of Everyone Hates Chris, where he was like, the main character was talking about, Chris, obviously, leaving behind a legacy, and what does that mean? What is my legacy? I mean, kind of the same thing, but like, what memory will you be for some people if you were to die right now, die tomorrow? That's something to think about. I mean, again, it's not something you can really concern yourself with every second of every day. You obviously don't think you're going to die tomorrow, but that being said, not to sound like morbid or anything, but doing everything as if you were to die tomorrow and do everything that you want to do and, live life to the fullest and, live your life as if you were going to be gone tomorrow is sometimes the best way to live your life. Obviously, don't spend all your money in one place today because you feel like you'll die tomorrow, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if you were to go at any point in the foreseeable future, what sort of impact would you be leaving behind? Now, I'm not saying you have to donate to fucking charities and shit like that and be over-the-top amazing. Obviously, that doesn't hurt, and it is appreciated, I'm sure, for those that are the recipients of said money, and it is encouraged and whatnot. But I'm talking about for the people that you regularly encounter on a daily basis. Will you be a good memory or a bad memory? Or really a memory at all? I mean, I'm not really too concerned about that. But that being said, one of my fears for a long time, admittedly, has been, being forgotten. I do not want to be forgotten. And I feel like that's a fear for many, many people where they don't want to be forgotten or they do want to be remembered for one thing or another. And it would always bother me, not really so much anymore, because I feel like I'm not the most memorable person out there. But it would bother me years ago. Like, we're going back to high school here, and I just graduated college last year. But it would bother me when people would either not remember me or they wouldn't remember my name. I feel like I was just forgetful. But nowadays, I take no offense to that. I feel like I know that it happens because I can't remember names myself. I have a great memory, but sometimes I can remember faces, but not always names. So I don't blame people for not remembering me or a name. And my expectations are so low, which may or may not be a good thing when it comes to that. But my expectations are so low, I expect no one to remember me, that when someone does, it's appreciated. I think it's pretty cool. But going back to said story that I alluded to earlier, and I will share the full story at some point. I have teased it before, and I will do it again at some point down the road. It's just a very, very, very long story. This might be the right forum for it, but it's just a super long story. It would be more than a 5-minute video, but nonetheless, I was friends with the girl years ago. Like, we're going back 6, 7, almost 8 years now, actually. And there was a lot of ups and downs, largely because of me. No romantic interest or anything like that. But I did tell her from the get-go I did not want her to forget me. And we would, constantly talk and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes I was a little too desperate for her attention because I didn't have too many friends by that point, at that point in time. So she was my one and only true friend that I thought in my mind that I had, and I can only really be open and honest with her, unlike with anyone else. And if she was to ever leave, what would I do? Blah, blah, blah. Would she ever forget me? And that ended up being a curse because I did ask her one of the very last times that I talked to her because the friendship was canceled, let's put it that way. I did ask her, or she did tell me rather, she said, you got what you wanted, I'll never forget you. And I asked her, will it be, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And she said both. Or for the good things or the bad things? And she said both. And by the bad things, it's by stuff that I did to her as well as the good things, but probably more for the bad things if you knew the full story, which again, I will tell at some point down the road. But that always stuck with me. Like, do I want other people, and that was what kind of led to the PMA, the positive mental attitude, and the optimistic outlook on life and stuff like that. If my friendship or if anything were to happen to me, would these people that I associate myself with, or even other people that I know or know of me, whatever, would they look at me the same way that they would remember me for the bad things that I did? So obviously try not to do any bad things. For that one person, I did a lot of bad shit, maybe not too terrible. I didn't kill anyone, obviously, but some stuff I wasn't too proud of. And I try to avoid that with future friendships and relationships and stuff like that, so I would not be remembered for said things. So again, remember what other people might remember you for. And it goes a long way, too, because I did reconnect with her a little bit down the road, a few years after the fact, twice, only on 2 different occasions, and I was the one who reached out. And I asked, I just wanted to say thank you one time. The second time, the first time I reconnected, I wanted to apologize for everything I did because I never really had the opportunity to do that the first time around. And she did say she remembered me, and I'm pretty sure, obviously she could have been lying, but I'm almost pretty certain she was genuine because the friendship lasted for a while, and some of the things I did were pretty unforgettable. So no matter how badly you would like to forget them, some things can never be forgotten, in some cases forgiven. She did forgive me. She had not forgotten, which may or may not be a good thing. But nonetheless, that always stuck with me. So take that story to heart in whatever way works for you. Think about your current friendships, relationships with friends, family, and others. How will you be remembered? You're going to be a memory someday, whether it's today, tomorrow, next year, next decade, 100 years from now. People will remember you for something. Will it be a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, people will remember some bad stuff. No one's fucking perfect, obviously. But will the good outweigh the bad? Will you be a bad memory or will you be a good memory? Take that to heart, think about it, get back to me on it. So anyway, guys, thank you for checking out the show. As always, I appreciate it. We will be back next Saturday with another all-new installment of Injection of Inspiration. Till then, have a great rest of your weekend. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.